Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. Life is always changing. There is really never a dull moment. Even when life can seem dull, our mind is always racing. Often it's when life gets slow that our mind starts to really stir up some drama and chaos and fighting and resisting reality. Some days are full of laughter, and some days are full of crying. Some weeks and months and maybe even years go by where nothing seems to be going right, and it can just feel like we're living in a tragedy. And when that happens, we become hopeless and filled with despair. We're hanging on by a thread and just feel like giving up. But here's the thing. Even though our life doesn't seem to change, we can always change our perspective, and that is often what changes our life. And to change our perspective, it's very important that we remember this simple truth, that even though our life may seem sad right now, we have to remember that we actually like to watch sad, beautiful movies sometimes that make us cry. We like to be moved by emotional and dramatic stories. And so what is the difference between watching someone else's story through a screen and feeling the empathy and their own feelings and watching a story play out right in front of our eyes in real life? Why can't we be moved and see the beauty when our own life has some heartbreaking sadness? Why can't we be inspired and love our own harrowing tale? We can and we must. Only the false belief that the story is happening, quote unquote, to me prevents the enjoyment of this dynamic story of ours, because we've spent our whole lives trying to avoid pain. In our own lives, we fear pain. We run away from it. It is the boogeyman that chases us. And in that fear is where the suffering lies. Because we can feel pain watching a movie, but there is no suffering. And if you look back now at all the tragedies in your life, from an external point of view, you would see that it's just a movie. And the best movie, the most realistic movie with the best acting and writing, but it's still only a movie. Your story, no matter what, is beautiful. You are the hero that rises from the ashes time and time again. And there is no difference looking at your own story or looking at someone else's. It's the same story happening. But when you think that it's happening to you, you suffer. And because of this fear that arises, because we think that it's happening to us, that fear stems from our identification with our ego. We think that these stories are happening to us. But if you look closely, these bodies can feel pain, but we cannot be in pain. Our true self. Only if we identify with the body do we find ourselves in pain. We can witness pain of the body, but we cannot be hurt, our true selves. And likewise, when we lose someone we love, when we have financial difficulties, when things aren't going right in our lives, relationships are challenging. Where is that happening to us? Or are we simply witnessing the unfolding flowering of the universe? Yes, painful emotions may come up. Yes, dark, depressing thoughts may appear in our minds. But we love a dark story from time to time. Nobody goes to the movies to watch 2 hours of ocean waves or watches a movie called Nothing Happened at the Camping Trip. We love comedies. We love those movies where the characters are going through something incredibly challenging. And thank the universe that there is no shortage of comedic absurdity or tragedy on this planet. There is never a shortage of interesting content for us to consume from reality. There is a never-ending stream of graduations, births, marriages, and, of course, illness, job loss, divorce, and death. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn to be present for it, to shed that fear, and to free ourselves from identifying as the main character and instead realize we're just the camera operator. Realizing that these are just actors, that we're all just playing our role for a brief time before that final cut and the wrap party happens with all the cast and crew when we take off these costumes called the human body. This movie has been going on for a long time. We are just temporarily making our cameo appearance. Sometimes we're the villain in other people's movies. And, how fun is it to be players in this picture? New actors are always coming and going, in and out of our own story. We may have some ideas about how the story should go, and we'll try to direct it to go a certain way, but at the end of the day, it's an ensemble performance. And we are just one of 8 billion players. Nobody is so important and special as to control the entire narrative. But like any good movie, it feels like the stakes are high, like it's life and death, like every moment is all important. And as long as we remember that it is just a show, the dance of light and sound before our eyes and ears, then we can play those roles with joy, no matter what comes or leaves. Whether we are suffering from stress or anxiety or depression or something else, it is never our situation that makes us suffer. It is always our internal reaction to the outside circumstances. It always comes from within. 2 people can experience the exact same situation, and one can have a panic attack, and one can not even notice any arising stress or anxiety. Everything about our experience comes from within. And literally anything we are going through can be faced with peaceful, calm presence. We can even choose to enjoy a movie about war or the Holocaust or some other unbelievably immense tragedy. And that experience in the theater can be totally devastating to us. We can cry our eyes out, but we can also face it without any resistance, without any fear, without any suffering. And this is proof that emotions are not good or bad. There is nothing we need to resist or chase after, and that no story in our lives needs to make us suffer. There is nothing wrong with crying. In fact, it can be incredibly healing and moving. We even cry when we're extremely happy. What makes it unbearable is our habit of avoiding it, our habit of chasing pleasure, fearing pain, and identifying with the story that takes place around us. As long as we feel like we're safe in the theater, we can go through anything. And the way we can feel safe in the theater of life is to remember that nothing can harm our true selves, that we are always safe. We may witness pain, we may witness hardship, and it may feel very real, the illusion that we are in danger. But our true selves are in a movie theater munching on some popcorn. At the end of our lives, when the movie ends and the lights come on in the theater, are you going to wish you didn't panic so much? Or are you going to feel good about how you remembered to stay calm? Are you going to look back and know that you treated everyone with kindness, even when you didn't always receive it, that you were always honest, even when it would have been easier to lie? This is the only question we need to ask ourselves. When we shed these bodies, when we shed our limited awareness that is perceived through our eyes and ears, and we have full awareness of what is going on, will we look back and feel regret for how we treated others, for how we treated ourselves, just because this illusion of reality was so convincing that we lost ourselves? Because we let fear lead to hatred? Or are we going to remember the illusion? Remember our eternal safety? Are we going to welcome the twists and turns of the story we've chosen for ourselves, that we've dropped into for a short time to enjoy? Our favorite actors are willing to go to these very dark, scary, painful places to pretend to be these characters who are going through something usually much worse than most of us will ever go through. And because they know they're pretending, they can feel the pain and not the suffering. But we can all do this. We can all take that pressure off of ourselves for this short life we're here to be perfect, to be the way we demand it, expect it, and want it to be. We put all this pressure on ourselves because we think we have this one life, this one short life, this 100 years if we're lucky. And even though that may be all we get for this body, this name, this story, we can still see that there's 8 billion other stories, that we're here for 1/1 billionth of the time of the universe. We are here for less than a blink of an eye in cosmic time. And when it comes to eternity, it's clear that we are really just here to enjoy this brief show. There's no greater meaning in infinity and eternity. Our lives are like the ripples in a lake, fleeting and disappearing. But man, can those ripples be beautiful? If you get to see that crystal clear lake and you toss a pebble in and you see that mirror start to ripple on that misty morning, surrounded by trees, man, that is enough to give a life meaning and purpose. Just seeing the light reflecting off the water, just appreciating the beauty of this magical universe can make all the uncertainty, all of the tragedy, all of the loss so worth it. And as long as we can grow, as long as we learn and can look back on a life filled with love, not necessarily receiving it, but just feeling it, expressing it, sharing it, showing it to others, that is the happy ending. If we can just live these lives to the fullest, if we can watch the whole show with our eyes open and full attention, and we can shed these bodies and these minds and our loved ones when they inevitably go, without attachment, without fear, without identification to some false entity, that ego, which is the only thing that can experience loss. Then on that final day, we can have a smile on our face. We can even be a comfort to those around us. And we can have that uplifting ending to our movie that we're all hoping for. These notions of good and bad only exist to the ego. And so often, what is bad is something we learn from. And it may be bad to the ego, but if we learned, then it's good. And sometimes the thing our ego thinks is good is the thing that gets us into trouble. It's all just the story of our lives. The most incredible movie we'll ever get to experience. It has a narrator, but you are not the narrator. That voice in your head arose from the brain that the universe created. You can only control where you point the camera, what you feed into the brain. You can guide it. You can nourish it. You can plant seeds of love and positivity, and you can water them. You can weed out those weeds of fear and attachment and identity through the practice of peaceful stillness and non-reactivity to desires and hatreds. Simply watching it all like you've got your favorite seat in the movie theater And whether it's a tragedy or a comedy, or both, we eat that popcorn all the same. And remember, we don't watch a movie to see the credits. We don't watch it to get to the end. We watch it because we love a good journey. So love your journey. Don't wish you were on someone else's journey. There may be dark times, but it's not real. You're just watching it. And every good journey needs that illusion of a little danger to make it a good movie. We can face pain. We can even face fear, just like we love a good horror movie. As long as you never forget that you are that light bulb in the projector, shining light through the film so it can appear on the screen and bring that illusion to life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to everyone who supports this podcast and keeps the lights in the studio on and the sound designer getting paid. You are keeping these teachings free for everybody who needs it and helping to make this world a more peaceful, loving, happy place. Whether you've given on eastwestism.org, YouTube, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, or even have just left a review, commented, subscribed, or shared this with a friend in need. From the bottom of my heart, thank you and much love. Is there more to this universe than science can show us? Is there anything mystical or miraculous in the remote corners of the earth that I could see with my own two eyes? My newest book, Aloneness to Oneness, is that journey of discovery. From the rebellious kid who rejected it all, to the adult searching for something deeper, to the person I am today. It is all of the stories, wisdom, lessons, insights, and inspirations I gained on this adventure. If you've ever questioned, doubted, or wondered about the meaning of it all, this book is for you.